What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today, BCHUSD. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 30th day of May. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon, of course. Here we are, $305, about a day and 10 hours left in this week, about a day and 10 hours left in this month, and what a bloody month it's been. What an absolutely bloody month it's been. Down 30% this month. That's down more than most cryptos, I believe. We're going to look at the BCHBTC chart. We're going to look at the BCH ETH chart as well. There's some things to get excited about. And looking at this chart here, oh, I didn't know that we were not in log. Looking at this chart here, I do believe that we are closer to a low point than we are to a point of contention or turmoil, whatever you want to call it. I think we're at a point, I guess it would be a point of contention. For the bearish contention, we'd be moving up. Anyways, or maybe bullish contention, I don't know. However it is, we're going to find support here, somewhere in this area. We've been in this now quite obvious horizontal channel, this area, for quite some time, since March of 2024. And I suspect that we will hold either a higher low here or a slightly lower low here, whatever the case may be. I have some theories that we're either, again, in some type of horizontal channel, or perhaps it is downward sloping. Maybe we do have a downward sloping channel and this was a fake out here. It's behaving like a fake out, it could be, but at any rate, whether we hold support around, above, just below $250, I do suspect that that could be our inevitable low sometime later this month. Sorry, later this year, not this month. In the months to come, we could see that happen. But this is as good of a time as any to buy. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I'm committed to buying some Bitcoin Cash every single month at this point. Just anytime that we're below $300, and, if it's been a month and we're not below $300, I'll still buy, because this area, guys, is legendary. It's absolutely legendary. And I don't know. I've heard rumors. I've seen some stuff on X.com about there being a Bitcoin Cash run on Binance. People are trying to withdraw Bitcoin Cash from Binance, and Binance won't let them because they don't have any Bitcoin Cash reserves, which is pretty crazy to think about, right? They take people's money, they allow you to buy Bitcoin Cash, but whenever it comes to withdrawing Bitcoin Cash, they don't actually have any Bitcoin Cash on hand to allow you to withdraw. Which, if this keeps happening, that demand's there. Think about it. Binance is going to have to settle by buying Bitcoin Cash for their clientele, right? It's just kind of the only way to fix the BCH bank run on Binance, and dumb fly, would be for them to have some reserves. If this is something that their customers are using, they need to have some reserves. So it's kind of interesting concept. But enough of that. Let's get into the TA. It was just something that I was seeing on Next. Shout out to the Bitcoin Cash podcast on that note. I don't think I'd be aware of that stuff without them. And anyways, looking at this in the short term, let's look at the 1 hour time frame and then we'll zoom back out. Looking at the 1 hour time frame here, a little bit of a, I would say, bear flag action, kind of mimicking Bitcoin's price, it seems. You're moving up a little bit. Man, we're on Coinbase. Look at that. Look at how big of a gap there is. Bitcoin Cash, such low liquidity, such low volume here, right? It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you move down so fast, it wouldn't surprise me if we did see some type of movement upwards. We could see a price up to 326 or something like that in a very short amount of time, maybe even up to 340. We could be, we could definitely go up into this area. I still suspect that in time we'll go lower, but this is as good of a price as any to accumulate. It does look like a bear flag. It certainly does, but with the lack of liquidity, this could also be a BART pattern. We could really move back up to this 340, 355 area like that, just as quick as it came, as it went, it can come back. We can really see that happen. But if it is a bear flag, well, those prices around 250 might come sooner than we expected them to. Looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, the indicators here, you're building a little bit of momentum on the RSI, right? Higher lows, higher highs. Building a little bit of momentum here. You're still bearish overall, but you look more bullishly postured here than you have in the recent times. Stochastics overbought. That's bullish. MACD has been green for quite some time. But again, you were killing off that bullish momentum. Now you're starting to build it. It's kind of weird. It kind of, to me, looks bullish almost. Like you're about to break through the zero. I would have been bearish here. Come on, man. I would have been bearish here. But with what's happened over like the last 10 hours, it's shifting bullish. And the same thing's happening with Bitcoin. We look at this here. on the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour MACD is crossing green as well. Not that this is bullish. This is a bearish MACD overall. It absolutely is. But you can come up. You can get some higher readings on your histogram before turning down. So you definitely got room to run is all I'm saying. It's bearish overall, but you're kind of hot to the bearish effect. So maybe you come down, maybe you come up a little bit. Stochastics coming out of the oversold zone. This is a bullish sign as well. This predicates bullish behavior. And the RSI, bearish beyond all belief, but you've been bearish for so long, it might be time to take a bullish breath of fresh air. You haven't really been above the 50. You've got room to run here as well. Doesn't mean that we're going to see anything crazy, but maybe we do. Again, if this is a BART, it could be a very short amount of time before we're back at 340. That's why I think in this area, even though we're just a little bit above 300, I would heavily advocate the buy. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I bought more in this area. I think that anybody and everybody holding Bitcoin Cash is probably buying as well. And if you've been waiting to buy, waiting to accumulate, what a hell of an entry. What a hell of an entry here, guys. I was looking at that there was some guy, some Japanese Bitcoin Cash user, a holder, analyst, I don't know what to call him, but he made a comment saying that even if it goes lower at some point, even if you bought it $1,000, at some point Bitcoin Cash is going to be worth $2,000 or $3,000. And I wrote, it's going to be worth 100 times that, man. At some point, this is why this is a golden opportunity, because at some point Bitcoin Cash is going to be worth what Bitcoin's worth today. It's going to be worth more than that at some point. When Bitcoin's worth $400,000, Bitcoin Cash may be worth $100,000. When Bitcoin's worth $1 million, Bitcoin Cash may be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. There may be a point in time where Bitcoin Cash even flips Bitcoin if the narrative is set there, man. It's set. All it takes is a little bit of belief. All it takes, the tome of Bitcoin Cash is written. The community just needs to open it up and read it. The crypto community, okay? The Bitcoin Cash people are being validated, vindicated, slowly but surely, not because of the price, but because of the fundamentals and because of the infighting in the Bitcoin core ecosystem and all of the logic that's coming out from those fights. People are trying to create products that are essentially the same thing as Bitcoin Cash. That's what eCash. It's not the same thing as Bitcoin Cash. I think Bitcoin Cash is better, but just, again, the problems that are happening within the mining community, the developing community, a lot of those problems are solved with Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin core community, right? A lot of those problems are solved with Bitcoin Cash, and all it takes is a little bit of humility, a little bit of humbleness to admit that you were wrong and come to the dark side or the green side, or maybe we're the bright side, whatever it might be, man. Bitcoin Cash in time, when the narrative is realized, will be worth a tremendous amount of money. Everybody's thinking in their heads like, what's the next Bitcoin? Bitcoin was worth 1 cent at one point. What's the next one? Now it's worth $70,000. What's the next Bitcoin? The next Bitcoin is the same Bitcoin that it's always been. It's Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash adheres to the Bitcoin white paper, Satoshi's white paper, far more than BTC does. BTC is a store of value, and Bitcoin was never designed to be a store of value. It was designed to be an electronic peer-to-peer cash payment system, which Bitcoin Cash adheres to far more than really anything else. And the level of decentralization, the level of security it has, the hash rate that it has, it is undervalued. It's immensely undervalued being here at $306. Not only that, but we take into consideration all the fade, all the shade that's been thrown at Bitcoin Cash's way its whole life, right? This is allegedly a dead project, and yet whenever it comes to the top 100 coins, Bitcoin Cash has maintained its spot in the top 20, flirting in and out of the top 10 since it's been created, since the hard fork. Right now, Bitcoin Cash is at number 17. But you've been up here. You've never left. You've always been a top contender. That's pretty awesome for a quote-unquote dead coin, right? Dead coins, they might be relevant for a year or a cycle, but this thing's been relevant for its whole life. It's not fun to say that in the midst of a 30% drop in a month, but hey, here we are. Daily time frame. RSI is oversold, beyond oversold. Imagine here, we were looking at this, and it was overbought. Would you be inclined to buy here? No. Would you be inclined to sell here? No. Right? You hear what I'm saying? It might be a good time to buy. Looking at the stochastics here, overbought. You've been overbought for quite a while. Very bearish. We haven't been oversold. We haven't been overbought in quite some time. I was still inverted there. MACD is showing some bullish divergence. That's always good. It's always encouraged. Not really any bullish divergence on the RSI. You don't need bullish divergence to mark a low, but still, it's nice to see it when it happens. Weekly time frame here, the RSI has finally hit the oversold zone. You're in this lower low, lower high dynamic. Being in the oversold zone gives us that assumption that we should be breaking out at some point. Maybe not this month of June, maybe sometime in July, maybe later than that, but at some point you should be seeing some recovery. Perhaps you come back down, but whatever the case may be, we are certainly at a low point here. I mean, any time that we're oversold, let's just see, the last time that we were oversold was here. That was the end of our bear market. I wouldn't be surprised. The weird thing about Bitcoin Cash is that I don't believe you're in a bear market, right? Yes, you're moving down. Since December, you've been moving down, but you're not in a bear market. Technically, you don't have macro lower lows yet. And even with this, even if we do get a lower low, are you in a bear market or are you just in a massive accumulation zone, man? Is this massive accumulation right before you break out of what's been this historical downtrend of a pattern? We thought we were breaking out of it here. We thought we were breaking out of it all this time, but man, this is still a loading zone as far as I'm concerned. And it made more sense to believe that we were breaking out here when Bitcoin was in a bull market, but it's not in a bull market now. It makes more sense to believe that we're just biding our time until, one way or another, you can't deny that we've broken out of some serious historical structure with the movement that's taking place. We are below this line. I'm not trying to draw it where we're above this line. I just can't draw a straight line here. Nonetheless, we're doing something different. I wouldn't call this a bear market, at least not yet. If we're in a bear market, it's completely feasible to expect that we go below $200, but I'm not there personally. I think that we are soon to find support in terms of price. Okay, maybe not in terms of time, but in terms of price, and we're probably finding relative support here. Again, maybe we even move back up to 420. Here's the deal, guys. This line was something that my analysis and probably a lot of analysts for Bitcoin Cash, we relied on so heavily. Here's the deal, though. We're still showing respect on it to some degree. But this line is not as significant as we thought it was. Here, you faked out, showing less significance. Here, you broke above it, but you didn't get a breakout, showing less significance. Whenever you found support here, you flirted with it, whatever, but it wasn't significant support like you found significant resistance. As time has gone on, at significant resistance, this line has gotten less significant. And perhaps by now, it might not be obvious, but perhaps by now it's completely insignificant. And if it is insignificant, moving back up here to test prior support at about 420 bucks, we might disrespect it to the upside, disrespect it to the downside. We start seeing stuff like this, guys. This line doesn't really matter anymore. We've broken historical structure to some degree still, which means we're doing something new. And something new with lower highs, higher lows, in this consolidation phase overall, I'm expecting that we're going to see a breakout to the upside as time goes on. Weekly MACD has bullish divergence. Weekly or daily MACD has bullish divergence. Weekly stochastics are oversold. The last time the weekly stochastics were oversold, we were at a low point. The time before that, we were oversold. We were at a low point. We moved sideways for quite a while, both these times, several months, both these times. The time before that, you were oversold. You're at your bear market low. We moved sideways for a very long time. Maybe we move sideways. Maybe there's no immediate recovery, but we look at this. We further look at this. We're on Coinbase here, BCHUSD on Coinbase. Not a lot of volume on this move down. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw something that took us back to $400. It really wouldn't surprise me. I'm not calling for that necessarily. Something around 350 I can see. We've got reasons to believe that we could find resistance there. But you really could go all the way up to 426, 430. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to say, oh, we're back above the trend line. We're back above the trend line. Now we're bullish. I don't think this trend line matters anymore. And if I'm accurate, if I'm right in that, we should see price action that depicts that as well. I still believe that Bitcoin Cash has lower to go. I don't know if it's going to happen this month of June. Maybe a little bit lower in June, but I think that we will probably see prices closer to 250 going into the later months of this year. For now, we're going to chill. We're going to consolidate, maybe move up a little bit, and then have our bear market finale toward the end of the year in August, September, October, November, somewhere in that range. And then chill, and build, and break out, and likely start the next. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin Cash was a catalyst, one of the leading stars for the next bull market. But time will tell. We've got a couple more things I want to talk about, and then we can wrap up the video, okay? Just looking at the monthly time frame here. Nothing really to go off of there. I mean, they all look like you could go lower, whatever, but you're near a low point, certainly. BCHBTC. What was such a promising example of pushing back against Bitcoin in the bear market has just given back so much, guys. So much. It's unfortunate. We look at this from a high to a low. That was not the high. We stopped at the 786, 886 area. We're back at the 236. It's actually not uncommon to find resistance here, come back down here, and then you find a little bit of support. You could go lower, but we are showing signs of readiness, I think, to find support just based off of this fib in itself. We look at this on the weekly time frame, you are oversold. The last time you were oversold in the RSI was a low point here. The time before that, you're at the oversold zone was not the low, but a low point nonetheless, and you moved up from there. The time before that, when you were oversold, you got oversold here. It wasn't the low, but still a low point, right? It might not be the low, but a low point nonetheless, right? Time before that, same thing. Time before that, same thing. Stochastics are oversold. You're at a point, you're definitely at a low point in this chart. MACD crossing below the zero, that's never fun. We were kind of choppy and sideways, so that might mean less than it typically does. Suggesting that we're at a low point here. That's what I'm getting at with the BCH-BTC chart. And anytime we're at a low point with BCH-BTC, it typically bodes well for the USD pair. Not only that, you're in the golden ratio zone. I mean, this really could be the low. What we've achieved this week might be the low for BCH-BTC. And in which case, we can expect to see some type of a movement up. Nothing crazy. You know, like 20%, 36% versus BTC from the current price. I mean, guys, that would take us back to $400. That'd take us back about $400. It can happen like that. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if in the month of June we saw prices back above $400 or around there, and then still come back down below $300 as the months go on. Wouldn't be surprised in the least. We've got low liquidity. We've got very low volume. In moments like this, when you have low volume, if you move up, if you move down, you get crazy volatile price action. That's what happens. If it doesn't take much volume to push the price around, you'll see that to the downside and to the upside. There's one more chart I want to go over for the Dragon Riders here, and that's the BCH Ethereum chart. And we've gone over this at length several times throughout my time doing analysis on BCH. And this chart, at least since 2023, has been somewhat reliable, right? You can see that versus Ethereum, we are in a clear uptrend. Now, overall, of course, you're in a downtrend, of course. Okay. But since 2023, we've been in an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs, and we're at this point where maybe we find support here, maybe we go a little bit lower, but again, the point being that we're at this point where we are near, if not at, support. We're showing that in the BCH-BTC chart. We're showing that in the BCH-USD chart on all the weekly indicators. We're showing that here on the BCH-ETH chart. Let me just draw an actual straight line there. Can we move lower? Sure. But that's not the point, right? Of course we can move a little bit lower. I don't think anybody cares if we move a little bit lower. Let's pull up the BCH-USD chart now. New price scale. Whenever we're at a low point here in the ETH chart, BCH moved up in US dollars. We're at a low point here in the ETH chart. We're at a low point there in the BCH chart as well, and then we moved up. We're at a low point here. Moved down a little bit more, kind of an oddity there. Bitcoin Cash just didn't move down as low as Ethereum did, I guess. And then we moved up. Low point there, right? Low point here, we moved up. It wasn't as exuberant as some of these past times, but still moved up. The reason why we didn't move up as much, but this moved up a lot, is because Ethereum in this time moved down while Bitcoin Cash was moving up. So that's why we saw that growth. And then here, we're at this low point. Can we go lower? Sure. Maybe it goes lower and Bitcoin Cash still moves up a little bit. Just Ethereum moves up more. Maybe move lower a little bit, whatever the case may be. But we're at this point of contention where Bitcoin Cash should see some significant movement up. That's all I'm getting at. And the price for this chart, for the blue line chart, is back over here. If we see anything of the sort, I mean, that would take us to that could take us back to $500, guys. By the end of the year, maybe. So I mean, I might even just change it. I might just start DCAing BCH not below $300, but just once a month. Just once a month, no matter what the price is at. Which is basically where my head's at, man. I think $300 is beyond belief cheap. I think $700 is beyond belief cheap. It's all cheap. Give it to me any which way. We'll take it. And we're going to run with it, man. In time, this thing's going to do phenomenal. I said there was one more thing I wanted to do, and that was this. But I'm going to do one more thing. We're going to end it with the ribbon. The ribbon's fun, right? It's just pleasing to look at. And it tells us a story sometimes. Well, the weekly ribbon here does look like it's in trouble. I doubt in the next day and 10 hours we're going to come back up. You are at a point of contention here. And that can promote some problems, that's for sure. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the monthly ribbon. Damn, even worse. The monthly ribbon is super sad right now. We got a cross up for the first time ever, and it just didn't do any of the things that we were supposed to do, man. It's kind of unfortunate. It's very disappointing, but that's how it is. And when you're in these, to be completely fair, when you're in these choppy sideways zones, I don't care if it's the 1 hour or the monthly, but when you're choppy and sideways, momentum indicators like the ribbon, they're not as reliable. Weekly time frame. I thought we were on the weekly. Let's do the weekly. Yeah, the weekly ribbon is definitely bearish here. Still, we could come up and find resistance there, you know, something like that, or above $400, right around there. Yeah, bearish stuff overall. Daily time frame, far away from the ribbon. Might be time to come back up and touch it. Here's where those $350, $360 price action resistance areas can come into play. The 4 hours probably not going to help us at all. 4 hours less reliable. But anyways, nothing else to say. Hope I've given you guys some things to think about. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care.